a drawing of the little use the Neocolor on that. Oh, my phone is disconnecting and reconnecting, so I don't be able to keep connected, but we'll give it a try. I was just getting started adding some color into this drawing of a tree, and I'm using chromium oxide green for that. So what I had envisioned here was some snowfall that's come in and it's laying on top of the branches. These open areas here, some of the trunk is visible. I'm going to be using a copper beach color to lay in part of that. This is a Derwent pencil. And I'm probably going to go with kind of a silver gray for the little squirrel that's hiding here in the branches. How are you, Cricket? It's good to see you. Were you following the mayhem in the community today, or? I was moderating on a live stream, and it was troll o'clock all over the place. So it's about 1:30 my time a.m. and since I was having a little bit of a hard time settling down, I thought I will come to the studio and work on art for a bit and see if I could get my brain to calm down and my thoughts to stop racing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably Cricket says I wasn't sure if he saw any mayhem. Oh, yeah. They were of two varieties. One forum I was in, they were all whining about how they didn't have free speech and they were being oppressed. And as you can tell by my sarcastic tone and voice, I have zero sympathy for that. YouTube is just wide ass open. So if you want to have a place where you're speaking your mind, everybody's free to start their own channel and just get right on that. I think it's quite childish and quite, well, that's actually probably insulting to children. I think it's quite immature and self-centered to demand that you be given hearing in somebody else's forum. You know, it's one thing if you're being oppressed in your own house. If you don't like the rules of somebody else's house, that's easy. Use the door. Oh, cool. All right. So Cricket Cinema says he's got a cartoon in already this morning using a couple of characters that came out of our discussion of Peggy Guggenheim, and I can't wait to see them. That's awesome. Did you do the illustrations for Carrie Ann with Scotch and Soda and Orion? Hey! Hello, Maya. Welcome. Yeah, and the other variety of trolls were just straight up trouble causers. Uh, Coming in and giving MD Media a hard time. So MD Media 18 does some really heartful and dedicated protest work in Southern California, working to help educate people about cults and high demand religions. So I think anybody who would give him a hard time while he's doing that work, boy, that's just some nasty choices that people are making. And I think, in America where we have religious freedom, it's one thing to say, well, people have a choice to, they can choose to affiliate with a high demand religion or even join a cult if they want. That's true, but I think we also have laws against using undue influence. And somewhere in between religious freedom and the the right to be free from being unduly influenced, we've got some work to do to help out our fellow humans, not to fall into those cults. So I don't understand just organizing groups of people to come in and give somebody a hard time. And the thing that I mostly don't understand is why this platform of YouTube doesn't do a better job of dealing with creators who behave that way towards other creators. I think it's kind of shitty. That little tree's starting to take shape with those little branches sticking out. Okay. Thanks for letting me know about that sound. I tried to upload a short earlier today, and I eventually just deleted the upload because it was a 60-second short, and it was just grinding to upload for like 18 hours. And while it was doing it, it was slowing everything else in my phone down. So I don't know if my internet provider is throttling it. That may be the problem. It's AT&T with all new unlimited limited service. So 0 of 10, do not recommend AT&T. So if it continues to be crappy, I will probably go for about maybe 30 minutes, or maybe we'll just just give it up. I don't know. So Cricket Cinema, I saw Carrie Ann. The channel is Hey Carrie Ann, and she used an illustration for her book club, and it had a lovely voluptuous woman with beautiful hair with purple curls in it, and just thought that was just charming. I thought, oh, that looks like Cricket Cinema's work. So this little sketch was one I did back in 2021. And as these things have a way of doing, it got tucked into a stack of papers, and I ran across it the other day, and I thought, I will add a little color to that. Somebody had asked a while ago if I knew how to draw. And yeah, I draw a little bit. There are people who just are, their primary form of artistic expression is drawing and sketching, and that's not me. I can put a pencil on paper and make something emerge, but really just sketching is not. I use sketching as preparatory to painting or doing other work, so I don't really consider myself to be an artist who. I mean, I draw, but that's not my. That's not the goal or the objective in picking up a pencil. And I guess that just is to say that there are artists who really just that's everything they do is work with a pencil. Oh, okay. All right. So Cricket says that he doesn't take credit for that. So yeah, what program do you use? I dabble in that, dabbled in one early on, and then the program just wanted to have access for every all the creative work I did and take credit for all of it, and I don't even remember what it was, but I made screen captures of a couple things and deleted most of the rest of it. So the cutting in and out just might be me. I noticed as I was looking at replays that I do tend to take a lot of pauses. Apparently, the speech production part of my brain gets kind of it gets shut by artwork. So if you're on Replay Crew and you're listening to me with all of my ums and my pauses, we'll just say go to the doobly doo, that little stack of three dots, and in there is a playback speed. You can adjust that up to 1.25 or 1.5, or if your brain can process it faster, go all the way up to double speed. You don't have to put up with my ridiculous pauses. And I'll never know about it. It wouldn't hurt my feelings even if I did know about it, but yeah, don't waste time waiting for me to pause my way through my communication. Yeah, please let me know if it seems to be cutting in and out, and I don't know what I can do about it other than stop and restart the stream, but I guess if the sound is really just craptacular, we'll I guess just stop or pause the stream. Don't know what else I can do about it. Oh, that diffuses and that color blooms nicely with just a little touch of water. So GPT makes illustrations? I didn't freeze. I'm just sitting here with my mouth hanging open thinking about that. I knew you could ask ChatGPT questions. Have you noticed that some videos have Ask attached to them here on YouTube? And you can ask it to summarize the video, and you can ask the AI all kinds of questions. Chuckling because it has attached to a couple of my videos. Every time I see it, I go in and I ask it questions like, "What could Janelle have done better in this video? What would be a good description that would catch people's attention for this video?" And all kinds of questions like that. Sometimes, sometimes it's very. Uh, it gives you some interesting answers, stuff to think about. So if you're a creator and you haven't done that on your own videos and you get a chance to, I encourage you to have a conversation with Ask. Um, I like I got kind of brave and I asked it what I was doing well, and that was uh, that was also interesting. I've I've asked it to summarize some other videos. I do it after I get done watching the video usually. Although sometimes if it's some of the sometimes some of the there'll be something going on in the community, somebody's having a bit of a meltdown and they've done a 3.5 hour video, and like I want to hear them, but I don't want to be held hostage for 3 hours while I listen to somebody have their conversation with themselves about you know sometimes you can go to the last 20 minutes and they've wrapped it up and they've come to their conclusions, and that's worth listening to, but the whole navel gazing along the middle of it, I just don't have time for it. So sometimes I'll ask the AI to summarize it, or else I wait until there's a transcript and then I look through the transcript, which has timestamps, and you can click on those timestamps and it advances the video, and then you can listen to that portion in the creator's words, so you can get it from the horse's mouth, because the transcript is never 100% accurate. It's never, I would say, the best one I've seen was maybe 75% accurate. So don't trust a transcript, but it's a useful tool. So Brad, how are you doing? Good to see you. Oh, interesting. Cricket Cinema says, yesterday, I assume that you asked it some pretty detailed genealogy questions, and you got some details from AI chat that was helpful. Is that what I'm understanding? I did my typical start on the right hand side. Yeah. So Brad, how was let's see, you were off to do some homework. You don't have classes on Sunday, correct? Just kind of getting yourself ready for the week, if I recall correctly. So, if you guys are interested, I was in chat all over the place with the LA area protesters were hanging out at Blue. There was an event scheduled at Blue, and I believe it was to start at 5 p.m. So they were around the area to enlighten people. And two teenage or young, maybe tween or young teen females bolted out of Blue and went pelting down the street with Scientology security hot on their trail. This part I didn't see. The girl, one of the girls made it a couple, 2 or 3 blocks away from Blue and just was pounding on random doors. And one of the neighbors opened the door and she was seeking refuge and apparently was communicating, please don't call the police. Scientology works with the police. Kelly, DOA, Matthew, MD Media 18 were there. And it was quite, let's see, Solomon was also there. Quite dramatic. The police arrived and transported the minor to Northeast Precinct. And you can find video, literally Michael, Serge Del Mar, Kelly, Inquisitive Inquirer, Matthew, MD Media 18, and Solomon Sassaman. And Jessica Palmadessa also showed up at the police station. So you can find stuff on all of those channels. DOA gave it his best effort to try to find out information and ended up being taken by ambulance to a hospital. Laura FM and Ashley were there as well. So that's the rundown. The miner's father also was at the station, so it appeared that the miner was trying to get away from something there. I don't know if she was running away from her parent or whether she was running away from Scientology or something that was going on at Scientology. Because she's a minor, we probably will not find out. But her run was witnessed by people who were auditing the situation, and some of them did have a chance to interact with her. And an American teenager probably has pretty good access to I would assume access to YouTube, access to find out about these protests. And so that I'm hopeful that we have at least one young person who won't get sucked into Scientology. She seems to be making an effort to fight what's going on there. I haven't quite processed all that I was observing, and there was some claim that she was in some sort of a crisis, and it didn't seem like she didn't get transported out of the station to go to the hospital or anything like that, so that just makes me feel like, that would have been the safest course of action. So, from this side of it, we have no way of knowing if she got, in the police station and went, no, I'm fine, I just needed to get away from something there, or whatever was going on. So, that there were a group of people who were willing to assist her and listen to her and advocate for her. And she was aware that people were advocating for her, so. About the time I think, why am I getting tangled up with this? It's a lot of drama and a lot of upset. And, and somewhere out there is a kid who is trying to determine her own life, trying to make some decisions about it. And I suppose if everything we do leads to that young woman not getting sucked into a life of serving a cult, then it was some good work, right? Just me. So, full confession here, I've not done another painting like this, so I'm sort of learning as I go. And it's never really exactly sure, how the marks on paper are going to render it, whatever it is you're trying to illustrate. But we'll find out, won't we? Yeah, Brad had every indication of that being the case. A supervisor did come out and did make an attempt to address DOA's concerns, which was a little surprising because that doesn't usually happen. Kelly did live stream giving a statement, and the officer, she was going through things in very calm detail, what she'd observed. So I don't, you couldn't really tell if the officer was just taking notes and paying rapt attention, or if he was just sort of going through the motions. But while all of this was unfolding, there were several people who were basically live streaming this young woman's escape attempt. So I hope that she will, not be signing any billion-year contracts. It I can see I can see why people would feel disheartened to watch this and then to not know what the outcome was going to be, not know whether Children's Protective Services was summoned. And like I said, we probably will not be privy to that information. We probably wouldn't be even if she was an adult. But I'm going to choose to look at it with hope and think that positively about it. And it sounds like she had some information already if she was able to be articulating that she felt like the police might be in collusion with the Church of Scientology. You know, that's some kind of sophisticated information. That tells me that she was probably already on YouTube. I mean, if you think about it, if you were a young person and your parents started taking you to some place and it seemed a little creepy to you, because it's hard to imagine a teenager going into the Blue Building or anything with Church of Scientology and not being a little bit creeped out by that. And they're likely to take a look. And if you have a look around YouTube, it doesn't take you very long to find some points of view on COS shenanigans. You guys are quiet tonight. Either that or the chat stopped rolling. This weekend with the time shift back into daylight savings time. Oh, it's just, I find it exasperating. I don't know. Can't we just split the difference at half an hour? Just move the clocks a half an hour in between and just not do this thing. Why? Why don't we do that? If we have to do daylight savings. It literally used to be to save electricity or to accommodate, so you didn't have to burn so much oil to keep things lit. And we don't really live that way, most of us, anymore. Oh my! I'm grateful that your increase doesn't come until next year. But that still will be here before we know it, because time moves so quickly. Where I live, we're supposed to be capped at no greater than an 18% increase in rent annually. To me, 18% just seems, I mean, in 5 years, you've doubled. Well, 6. 20% times 5 would be 100%. And so I think 18% is really too much. Because our property taxes don't increase that much. Property values aren't increasing that much. What's happened where I live is that now have so many people moving in that we have housing shortage, especially at the entry level. You can't find a place that's. You can find something that you can afford. It's probably infested with roaches and worse. But to find a safe, secure place where there's not a lot of crime, it's just not. It's just not available anymore. So the landlords are just. It's really a landlord's market, and they're taking full advantage of it. Unfortunately, Oregon is one of the most landlord friendly. I mean, I guess it's not unfortunate if you're a landlord. It's a great state to do your thing because it's our laws favor landlords very strongly in Oregon. I think that copper beech color works just nicely for the Douglas fir bark is a little bit on the warm side, almost kind of a cedar color. Oh, this poor tree. I don't know. It was just a. It was literally a quick sketch. My friend and I were sketching, and um, I think we gave ourselves something like 20 minutes or 30 minutes to each do a drawing, and so I think somebody who was is it a botanist or arborist, somebody who was really into trees would go. That thing can't decide if it's going to be a sequoia or a Doug fir. The trunk is too narrow. But the branches are happy. They do that. Where I live, there's a lot of Doug fir, and the branches have these characteristic little uh, kind of 3 points that come up, and the branches swoop down, and then they very enthusiastically kind of. It's almost joyful, I think, the way they tip up and reach for the sun. All right, I'm going to try a little bit of gray for the shadow on the snow. And we'll see how that works. Hopefully it won't look too dirty. Let's see how that works. Wait, that's a tricky color because it's almost the same color as the graphite pencil that I used. Oh, that might do it. So Maya is halfway up to her knees in snow already where she lives. I had to look at that picture and it just reminded me of Anchorage a little bit. Very fond memories. I was, was there in the mid '90s, so that was quite some time ago, and my body has gotten 3 decades older. I'm not sure how enthused I would be to be walking out in the snow, and of course, the cars come. You get a headbolt heater installed, and so if you see a picture of cars up in the Anchorage area and a lot of Alaska, you'll see there's a little a cord with a plug that comes out somewhere on the front of the car. And a lot of the places we drive to, like if you go to the mall, you get out and you plug your car in before you go in to do your grocery shopping or go watch a movie or something like that. And at night, the parking places at the where I lived, there's a short like a little post with an electrical connection and a plug-in, and you take the cord from your car, you pull up to the post, and you plug your car in at night, and it attaches. It's a heater that attaches to the headbolt, and it keeps the oil in your engine fluid enough so that you can start your car in the morning. And we don't have to do that in Oregon for the most part. There's probably, I don't know, maybe some of the people who live up on Mount Hood and work at the ski resorts, they might do some of that, but we don't have those cold temperatures. So I don't miss plugging in my car. That was always a bit... Well, actually, plugging in your car isn't the problem. Forgetting to plug your car in, that's where you run into some challenges about 12 hours later. Good thing these are easy grip pencils. Uh, This crayon is also called chromium oxide green. It ends up being a bit of a lighter color. This is the chromium oxide green for the colored pencil, and this is the crayon. So I think they work nicely together. These crayons just glide on. I don't love the kind of scratchy the watercolor pencils are they're not really creamy and smooth, so they scratch a little bit, and they remind me a bit of a felt tip pen, which is not my favorite thing at all. Not quite as annoying as chalk, but it comes close. Pretty. I feel like I was fighting that small, was a number zero round brush, so I'm gonna step up to number 2, and we'll see if that works a little bit better. That helped. See that crayon, it diffuses so easily with water. It seems like magic to me. I don't know how a waxy crayon can dissolve into a lovely fluid paint so easily, but it really does. I have mostly just made my own explorations of this medium. I haven't dived into tutorials or videos, and Karen Dash does have, I believe, some tutorial type videos on YouTube, so I've read the technical information on them, and I know I did take a look at a couple of videos, and the people suggested dipping the crayon into water, and I will tell you, don't do that. So these are the wax pastels. They have a binder in them. And if you immerse them, bad things happen. The binder will dissolve quite a ways down the crayon, and then, let's see, I did that. I thought that was a great, clever idea to do with the gold one, and the whole end of it crumbled off, and you can see a little bit here. It's kind of jagged. I had taken it and dipped it in water and then applied it to paper, and it made a marvelous mark. It made a rich, beautiful mark that diffused with water, but it also dissolved the binder in the tip of the crayon. So I've just been using it as is. This one I tend to scribble onto the palette and then add water to it. I did a little bit of research. Caran d'Ache does not recommend dipping these crayons in water. So if you're watching tutorial videos and the creator says, oh, you can do this, well, yeah, you can. Once, 1, 2, 3 times. And then the end of your crayon will crumble. And it just seems like the water gets into it and it dissolves the binder. So I don't recommend handling them in that way. I mean, it's your crayon. If you want to do it that way, knock yourself out. But it does seem to have an impact on them. So I would recommend, if you want to get that sort of an effect, wet the paper and work the crayon into a wet ground. And that'll give a lovely diffuse line without wrecking your art materials prematurely. Actually, thinking back on it, I believe what I did was experiment my way into that, and then I went to try to figure out why the crayon crumbled. And well, at least I only wrecked one of them. And I only wrecked the end of it. I didn't really... it's not the end of the world. It's learning. It's starting to look green like a tree now. I find it challenging to just go in and put a bold layer. I like to work up to things in layers. Everybody's got a bit of a different style. I've always been a bit trepidatious when I'm not sure how something's shaping up. So watercolor is a good medium for an artist who approaches things in that way. Because you can just add layers of wash. And as long as you're working light to dark, if you've got more colors, I'm really not working with... I'm working with 3 colors here, so if you were doing a landscape or something like that, you might have more colors. And it's a temptation to start with your brightest color first. I've found in watercolor I get a better result if I can identify a light value and start there. Anybody have any questions, comments, jokes, observations, complaints? we're coming up on the end of the live stream here, so I know we've got a handful of you out there watching, and I just want to let you know I really appreciate you. Whether you chat or whether you just hang out and get a little art inspiration, spend a little time. Hopefully you're not up to something nefarious while you're out there. I know you're not. You're all model citizens. Speaking of model citizens, I am going to finish filling out my ballot and get it submitted tomorrow. I don't know why. I think everybody's a little bit different. We can submit ballots fairly early in the jurisdiction where I live, but I've always just liked to do it. You know, when I started to vote, we went to the polling places and there was a booth, and you took your ballot, and everybody went on election day, and I kind of like that. So I still do it. I don't trust we can mail in our ballots here, not all states, but the state I live in, you can mail in a ballot, and I don't know, I always think about putting it in that big blue mailbox, and I think mine would be the one that got stuck to the bottom and wouldn't get counted, so I like to drive it down and actually drop it in a ballot box. Feels like you're doing something when you do that to me. Alrighty. Well, there's the steps of our little tree. Thanks everybody for joining, and appreciate it if you can give that screen a double tap, give it a like if you've enjoyed spending a little time here, and I want to encourage you to take a little time, do some art, take care of yourself, and we'll see you on the next live stream. Good night. Goodbye. Take care.